which is a new evidence-based screening tool. And I think we have staff here to introduce this. Michelle Knight, I know, is here. I just spoke with. And is Tiana McCall joining us as well? My understanding here is that we have a number of approved screening tools. Well, I'll just turn this to you. I appreciate you filling me in. I won't steal your thunder. The question is whether we approve another among the list of mental health screening tools for Box Elder District. So should I turn it to Michelle? You want to take the lead? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Moss. Michelle Knight with School-Based Mental Health Screening.
And then just describe the tool and the process. Yeah.
So this screening tool is screening for child anxiety-related emotional disorders. It consists of 41 items and 5 factors that parallel the DSM-4 classification of anxiety disorders. This was requested by Box Elder School District, and it falls in line with R277625's process. We have reviewed it with consultation from the Office of Substance Use and Mental Health and have approved it based off of the requirements from the rule, and we are here for approval.
To add to that, Deputy Superintendent Patty Norman, part of that rule that was referenced is the state board approves these tools. And then once they're approved, this would not just be approved for Box Elder, it would be approved for any LEA's use after this. Box Elder requested this tool. It was reviewed by the agencies that Michelle talked about. And then they would like, the reason why it's coming as its separate item is they want to be able to use it for next school year. So they would need the summer to be able to train on it and then have it implemented and all the proper procedures in place prior to next school year.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions or comments for our staff experts on this topic? And I understand this would be, we've got about 15 of them on the list currently. This would be a new one, number 16 or 17. Okay. Anybody? Member Bogus.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
And
So,
then back to Vice Chair Earl.
excuse me, I've looked in here and I don't see any information on this tool. I just see an agenda memo, and I've refreshed and relogged in and all of that stuff, but I don't see what I would normally see.
We're checking right now with Sybil, may I? And we just sent that in, so it should be in there now. Is that correct? Yeah. We had all of the information on the memo item, but not the tool itself, so it's in there.
I'm clicking the link. There it is, the screen for child anxiety-related disorders. And it's got the, let's see, 2-page tool and then an area to be completed by the clinician. Vice Chair Earl.
Yeah, so this is one area that I want to see the research on, not just the items. And maybe they're available there. When you say it's a new screening tool, you guys wrote it? Are you, okay, so I'm not sure based on the information here. It sounds like you're using it. Are you using it in a clinical setting? Or is this, you're doing this is going to be all children will be screened with this tool? Or it's if we identify a need, we contact parent, and then we initiate this?
Go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you for your question, Board Member Earl. So this screening tool would be on the list of approved screeners. An LEA can opt to use it for their students. All screeners are required to have parental consent beforehand, and so this would just be an in addition to the other 16 on the list.
So this could be a full classroom screener.
Yes.
Okay, that changes it for me.
If they opt in, to answer your previous question
Okay.
as well, this is a worldwide screener. This was not created by us or Box Elder. They just requested that it be on the list.
So who,
And it's administered by licensed clinicians.
do we have areas of, okay, in reading through this screening tool, it would seem to me you would need a child, in my view, a child would need to be demonstrating some of these behaviors prior to. It would seem like a very clinician type of a thing, not something we would broadly give to kids, because just reading through it, the focus on the items, can you tell me where I could find the actual research associated with this and the actual application? I know you put some general stuff in here, but what organization is doing, is that the research entity there?
I'm just pointing to the citation at the bottom of the instrument and the link we just got. I think this just came through, and I'm not sure if this is it, but maybe Michelle. It was an email, and the tool refers to some,
So it's the SCARED, SCARED tool? Is that the tool?
By the,
Yes,
ahead,
Board
Michelle.
Yes, Board Member Earl, it's the Screening for Child Anxiety-Related Emotional Disorders.
Okay.
at the bottom of the tool, if I could just ask, is that the research on validating? It's got Burmaher, Chiapetta, et cetera. Is that research on, is that external research on the tool, or is that the reference to the folks who developed the tool? Looks like a replication study. It might, I'm sorry, that's kind of a random question to throw at you. I apologize.
yeah, there, it does link to a website with a section on research.
I guess more than anything, I want to know the actual usage of this, who would be, I know you're saying we would have a clinician, but I want to see where the research is, where it's been applied, who's used it, in what situations they're using it to make sure it, it doesn't, like it fits that framework. We're not, does that make sense? Like wherever it was researched and used, that's where this should be used. If it wasn't researched and used in broad classrooms, it shouldn't be used there. If it's used in a clinical setting, then this item should be applied within a clinical setting, if that makes sense, with the individual and the parent. If it's not, then I just would really, if I don't, I can't vote on it right now because I don't have that information nor the validation of the research, so.
Okay, yeah, Michelle?
Thank you, Board Chair Moss. So this was developed by the University of Pittsburgh, but like I mentioned, it is worldwide use. It's had over 10 randomized controlled studies on the tool. Over 10,000 children and adolescents have been included in various research studies, various races, ethnicities, languages. It is a screening tool, not an assessment, so it is used in a classroom setting or large base setting.
Chair Ma?
Thank you. Yeah, I can head over there. Did that answer the question? Yeah. Member, oh, Dr. Norman, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I was just going to state also within there, it is recommended that it's given to children ages 8 to 11, and then having the clinicians do all of the explanation of the questions. Again, the screening tool would then just be an overarching, here's a screening tool, and then the parents are opting into this. This isn't something that would be brought in or they have to opt out. It's an active opting in, and once they opt in, then it's just that screener, and then the parent would be notified, and then if they want to do anything further. So again, they opt in, and then they would also opt into anything else that would occur after that. So there's nothing that's going to occur in the classroom without the parent's consent or any of the interventions or support that might be provided afterwards.
Thank you. Okay, Member Green, and then Member Klein.
Okay, so you answered quite a few of my questions that I just had. So you're saying that this program is administered in the classroom to all students ages like 8 to 11?
Sorry, it could be 8 to 18. It could be.
8 to 18?
Yeah, sorry. It says
Okay.
it recommended 8 to 11.
Okay, all right, and then does that apply to LEAs that adopt this program specifically to align to the code? Or Sorry.
Yeah, that would mean that if Box Elder chose this as their screening tool, this is what they would use as the initial screener. And to put this maybe in context, it's similar to a vision screener. Does that make sense? Where you go in and they're going to say, yes, your child probably needs to see an eye doctor. They're not going to give them their prescription. They're not going to give them their glasses or give them any other medical advice that goes along with it. It's the first step to be able to notify a parent that they might have further involvement or other support that might be needed.
Okay. So opt-in, so are there contracts that go out to parents before this program would be administered or this screening would be administered? Just like a separate paper that says this is scheduled for this day at this time for these classes?
Yes, so the LEA, based off R277625, the LEA must send out a notification to parents at most 8 weeks prior to the administration of the screening.
Okay.
And it must be done every time the screening is done. So it does not just cover all bases.
So, does this apply to the IEPs at all? I know that, so personal example is that, when an IEP is, was done, an assessment was done, there is the psychological kind of evaluation that takes place, and there was a level of, a diagnosis, but not a diagnosis that came from the psychologist at the admin level of our school district, right? And of which it could be anxiety related.
So that would already be considered an assessment, and this does not fall under assessment. This would be prior to,
So it's a screening, but not an assessment. How is a screening different than an assessment?
a screening evaluates the possible presence of a condition, whereas an assessment is a referral or a condition may already be present, and we are diving further into that.
Okay. All right, I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Green, Member Klein?
Yes?
You're up.
So looking at University of Pittsburgh's website, it looks like this is specific to bipolar spectrum services for children and adolescents. And so I guess that's my first question. My second question is, did you say Box Elder? Did they explain why they wanted this specific one added to it? Was there something specific about this that they liked, that they shared? And then I would say, looking at the things that are on the screener, these are just normal, typical feelings and behaviors that almost every child has at some point. So there's nothing out of the ordinary. So these kind of screeners really should not be given universally. They should be as requested by a parent. If a teacher says, they might benefit from this, that may be one, reason to, alert a parent, but it should be by request of the parent, not everybody does it unless you opt out. To me, this looks like simply a fishing expedition, because every child will at some point check one of those boxes, and now they're going to trigger interventions and services, and that's where I have a problem with this. So if you could answer those first couple questions.
Yeah, I think and help me along the way so that I can make sure I answer the questions that you had within there. I think the first question was asking about the university itself and that it was used for a specific reason.
Bipolar spectrum services.
And so I think that although that may be something that they did on that, this screener is being used for this specific purpose. So we're not accessing any of their tools or any of their other research for other things in that area. This would be specific to anxiety. And so, so is that the first question that you had?
I guess I'm wondering why we are problematizing something that is normal for children. Every child has anxiety at one point or another, or feels sad, or nervous or anxious at some point in their schooling experience. It's not something that should be diagnosed as a problem unless it goes to an extreme. Otherwise, it's totally normal. And yeah, we're turning normal things into.
I'm not sure of the question within that, but I think maybe this might help with the answer to it, which is, as a screener, it's not meant as the diagnostic or the assessment. It's just if a student is experiencing these things, they would let a parent know. The parent is opting in, so the active participation of opting in, and that would mean a parent would want to have this information if they're opting in. And then they would receive the results of this and then be able to decide what to do then on their own. So there wouldn't need to be further action unless the parent themselves would choose to have further action after the screener. So they've opted into wanting the information, and then they would be able to have that active process of saying what they would do next.
All right. Oh, follow-up?
But they give it to the entire class.
Only if they opt in, right?
So basically, it's everybody's doing it, so the child's going to feel odd if he doesn't do it. If he's not. Do you see what I mean? It kind of stigmatizes the child that chooses not to.
Okay,
Participate.
let's, and good valid points. I don't want to go, beyond the scope of them.
Can I ask a
Initial motion, the
clarifying-
question is, yeah, I've got a couple lights. Was it Member Green? Sorry. Who, sorry, couldn't
Well,
see
I
who spoke.
think I was first.
We got Member Bogus, Member Green, Member Reel.
So Chair, with respect to the body and our time constraints, I have many questions on this myself, and I have not been able to do my due diligence, and I would move to postpone it to the next duly noticed board meeting.
Timeline that they mentioned at the.
We can ask about that. Let's see if there's a second, and then we can address the time constraints.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second, so do you want to speak to it before we go to staff? I want to ask them, of course, what the time constraints are and what sense of urgency we're dealing with.
Yeah, so I heard you say, we're plowing through. Christina's got many questions here, and I want to respect the work of the body, and I want to respect our time here, and I think that I might not be alone in my assertion that I just have not been able to do my due diligence on this. I just received it about 5 minutes ago, or whenever, maybe, I don't know, I'd check the timestamp, but my point is, I wasn't able to do the work that I need to do so that I could keep my questions to a minimum.
Okay, let's, maybe I'll just, did you want to speak to that?
Well, I just wondered, thank you, Chair Moss. I just wondered if we might summarize the points that we've heard. Because if you look at this tool just cold, there are a lot of questions about it. So summarizing what I think I heard, and you can correct me, from both questions and the answers, if this is appropriate, Chair Moss, you can tell me, no, it's not
Go
appropriate.
for it, please.
So we already have 15 tools that have been approved. Is that correct, Michelle? Okay, so if we have 15 tools that have been approved that other LEAs can choose to use, Box Elder is saying, hey, our school psychologists, right, have used this tool and they actually really like it. So if there's, so the other question I heard is, I think Vice Chair Earl said, is this given to a whole class, one-on-one? And it appears from what I'm hearing and reading, again, checking in for understanding, that it's one-on-one with a clinician, a school psychologist, or is it in a classroom? It's a broad use, so would it be given to all kids in a classroom at the same time? Because the directions actually talk about sitting one-on-one with an adult. So that's where I had a little confusion. Can you maybe clarify that? That seems to be a common question and theme that I've heard.
Thank you, Superintendent Dixon. To clarify, 8 to 11, they say to sit down with an adult to understand the question, but the screener is available 8 to 18. LEAs can also use this with screening nights, and that would be more one-on-one with the parent as well. And there is a parent portion to the screener as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. I missed that. I apologize. That's all, Chair Boss.
I'm sorry, I just took a bite. My question is, what is the timing on this? I mean, I understand they have available to them a number of tools. When are they looking to use this, and when would it need to be approved? I'm sorry.
Yes, currently, the reason why it's on the agenda as a separate item is they would like to have it passed through this month, and they requested if we could have the board look at it this month for approval, so they could have the training on it, and then be able to do the appropriate work with teachers and the clinicians, so that they know what to do with their scheduling and time, so that it could be implemented at the beginning of the school year. Of course, that leaves it up to the body of the board and what you feel is best.
Is it always at the start of the school year? And I can understand some things are at the start of the school year. Do different LEAs do this at different times during the year? It's not exactly
Yeah.
a kind of a
Yeah.
performance assessment, right? I understand the purpose of the tool, and how does that relate to when it's typically used?
Two parts to that question. The first part is because they want to be able to do the training in the summer. And so they, yes, and then the second part is it's usually done at the beginning of the school year.
Okay, Member Hymas? Wait, let me see if I'm doing this right. Nope, sorry, I missed Brent. Member Straight.
So I believe I heard that parents, it's required for parents to be notified. And I believe you said it was 8 weeks? So if it's 9 weeks, the parents have to be re-notified. Okay. And if a parent, can they opt out in that, or is just, here, we're going to do this?
It's not opt out, it's opt in.
It's opt
So it's
in.
just, so opt out would mean that everyone gets it unless a parent says, wait, I don't want my child to get it. But this is an active opting in. That means the only way a child would get it is if a parent says, I want my child to do this. So everybody else does not receive it.
So if you don't have the opt-in, you can't be given the exam. The parent has to actively agree to it. Is there like information that goes with this? Okay. And so parents are informed. No child is given this assessment without the parent's knowledge. If it's more than 8 weeks, then it can't be given. Okay, thank you.
Point of order, sir.
Thank you, Member Straight. Yes.
I made a motion to postpone, which is non-debatable.
We did we get a second for that motion? Did
Yes, we
just
did.
start- We were going to ask about,
Yeah,
Motion to
and we just
postpone is
kind
not
of
debatable?
continued the conversation. Because if we're open for questions, I got lots of
yeah, no,
questions.
I apologize. I didn't catch it. That's non-debatable. I figured we'd talk about the effect on, it is debatable. Sorry. But it's debatable. Parliamentarian says it's debatable. Part of that
Well,
was,
then can we debate the motion to postpone, because I got lots of questions.
I apologize. Yeah, my question was their timing, which goes to the question of postponement and what's the urgency. So we've kind of lapsed into some other stuff, but yes,
Okay,
back
thank
to
you,
you.
sir. I appreciate it. Well, I just
We-
feel
We are
like
speaking to the motion to postpone,
to
though,
the,
right?
to the motion to postpone.
Okay.
I just feel like my due diligence on this is not done. And if we're gonna deal with it tonight, I'm happy to answer or ask all my questions in a public forum. That's okay with me. But I was trying to be respectful to the body and to the timeline that we have tonight with the understanding of the other agenda items that are on our plate in the coming hours.
Okay, do you have a specific date to which you are seeking to postpone it?
The motion was to postpone it to the next duly noticed board meeting.
Okay, which is currently August something, 2nd, 3rd. All right, and we did get a second on that, is that right? Okay. All right, any further, let me go back to my lights then. I've got Member Green, Reel, Earl, Davis, and Wood. And again, this is to the motion to postpone, so,
I'm just staying on for after.
okay. So anything to the motion to postpone, Member Green?
I probably have just as many questions.
Okay.
I'd like to keep asking because it's very beneficial, but I think seeing more of the contracts and the program and understanding just how it all works, like who pays for it, who administers it, what licenses they have to have, so forth, so on. I'd love to understand that better, and I think my kids could probably answer yes to all of these, which is also concerning because they're, 6 to 17, so I don't know. I just would like some more time to give us some due diligence.
When did we get the request for this? I'm just curious on the timing. And is this, something that would typically be brought up during the summer?
Chair Moss, we received this request about 2 weeks ago, maybe even 3 by now, and we reviewed it in consultation with OSUM, the Office of Substance Use and Mental Health, and that's why we brought it to the board, because we've approved it. Based on HB 403, all LEAs who are opting into the screening program are required to do so by July 1st. So we've just been getting an influx of applications coming in, and this was one of the new screener applications.
And my question isn't meant to question you or your promptness. It's more the LEA. It's just sort of, okay, we got this, and it was at the end of the school year. I get it. So I'm not so much criticizing, but board members do have interesting questions, and so that's why we have the consideration of postponement. All right, Member Reel.
Mine's for after this motion.
Member Earl, Vice Chair Earl.
Yeah, I just have another question on who are the clinicians that are trained on this, and what does that mean? Just the analysis and the reporting?
Oh, sorry, it is to postpone. Sorry, question is on the move, motion to postpone.
I mean, I'd like to postpone. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
And part of the reason why, sorry,
Because you'd like to.
part of the reason why is I know, I mean, I looked at this 2 or 3 times during the week going, where's the information, thinking it would be there. And because I would have done my due diligence too. And the very research that says, okay, this was substantiated here, and this is what it would, this service is anyways, but I would move to have it postponed as well.
Okay, Member Wood.
Just regarding the motion to postpone, so is this part of Box Elder would like to use this, they want to opt in to the mental screener, and this is what they would like to use? And if they do not get that approval prior to July 1st, do they have another option? I mean, they have 15 other options. Will this curtail what they hope to do, or?
Thank you, Board Member Wood. So yes, they do have 15 other options. They have preferred this one, but technically, yes, they could choose a different one if at that point.
All right, let's see, we have Member Straight.
Speaking to the idea of postponement, I think I heard from you that there's a process of approval that comes through your district as well. Would you go over that again real quick?
Does this go to the motion to postpone?
Yes, because I want to know that they've done their due diligence, because that affects whether I vote to postpone or not.
All right, I think that's, what's that? We don't have Box Elder here, right? So is there anything you can say on that? If not, okay.
Okay.
I think the question's out there, but,
Okay, sorry.
okay, nope, fair enough. Member Davis, final word.
Like, if this was gonna be given to every child, I would say, let's postpone and dig in and figure this all out, but it's not. All the questions are online. Parents can read every single question, and they can make the best decision for their child. If they, like, I would never have my 8-year-old take this, quite frankly, it's way too many questions. But if I was worried that maybe they have some anxiety struggles, I might be like grateful that someone's willing to give a screener like that, and I don't have to pay $200 to go figure it out with this somewhere else. So, but the point is, we're not the parent, and the parent can read all the questions and choose. Is this something I want? Is it not? So I say not to postpone and give the parents the options if they want to do it or not.
All right, the motion pending is that the board postpone consideration of this new screening tool until the next regularly noticed board meeting. And did I phrase that correctly, Member Bogus? The next regularly noticed meaning necessarily August, or that if some other, I'm sorry? Duly noticed, thank you, Kelsey.
If the board
next
calls a
duly.
special session, great. If the board does whatever, great. I don't care when it is. I just would like it to not be tonight, because I do believe I have probably 15 minutes worth of questions. And I just don't think my due diligence on this is done.
All right, so the next duly noticed board meeting, that's the question under consideration. Member Lear?
Well, one more thing. I wonder, would it be inappropriate to ask that we had a little more information from Box Elder? If they wanted to come, I'd like to hear why Box Elder likes this. I feel like I'm making this decision in a vacuum. I don't want it tonight, but, don't worry, Sarah, not tonight. But I just feel like before I make that decision, I'd like to hear somebody who has used it, likes it, and we can understand why. And I'm not a school psychologist, and I would like to hear why a school psychologist would select this. So would that be
So-
possible next time? Is
Do
that,
you-
and it's not part of the motion, I guess, but
Well, I guess it goes to the postponement issue, and if the motion, is postponed, then there might be that opportunity.
Okay.
I don't know that you're ready to answer that, Michelle or
it's not
Doctor.
really a yes, no question,
Just a suggestion?
just a request
Yeah,
that maybe can't be fulfilled.
Okay,
as, Chair, may I?
please.
Yeah, as part of the application process, I don't know if this answers your question fully, you may need more information. It does state the reason why they wanted this tool is the way that it further breaks down the possible category types of anxiety without being an assessment or a diagnostic. So they just wanted it for the further categories, possible presence of a type of anxiety.
That helps a little. I think I tend to agree with Member Davis.
Okay, any further discussion? Member Reel, your light's on? No?
Next time again.
Next time? Okay. I think we're ready to vote. The motion is to postpone to the next duly noticed board meeting. Oh, just to vote? All right, Member Bogus?
Yes.
Member Booth?
No.
Member Klein?
Yes.
Member Davis? Or Vice Chair Earl?
No.
Member Green? Vice Chair Hart?
No.
Member Hymus? No. Member Carey? We lost him? I'm just going to check each time in case he rejoins. Member Lear?
No.
Member Norton?
No.
Member Reel?
No.
Member Straight?
No.
Member Wood?
No.
Member Moss? I'm a no. And I believe that fails by 11-3. Okay, so that brings us back to the underlying motion. And I think we're going to have to limit our timing of questions. I do know that members have questions, but, I'm sorry? You're in line? Yes. So, Member Reel.
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, that requires a second and then 2/3.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, there's been a second, and we go straight to a vote. Again, 2/3. Question is whether to proceed directly to a vote on the motion to approve the new screening tool. Start at the bottom, Member Wood.
Yes.
Member Straight.
Yes.
Member Reel.
Yes.
Member Norton.
Yes.
Member Lear.
Yes.
Member Carey. Member Hymus. Vice Chair Hart.
Yes.
Member Green.
Yes.
Vice Chair Earl.
No.
Member Davis. Member Klein. Member Booth.
Yes.
Member Bogus.
No.
Member Moss. I'm a yes. That's 9. It fails. Requires a 10 for 2/3. So calling the question fails. The motion is before the body and still open for debate. Member Bogus, we are going to limit to one person 10 minutes, though. We're going to use Robert's rules.
Is that a joke?
No, it's in the book.
We're going to limit to one.
It's in the book.
Give us some rapid fire questions.
So I
Just-
tell you what, next time I'm preserving my time, just so you know.
Yeah, I knew you would.
All right. Okay, so I would like to know
You can
where the
limit to
peer-reviewed
10
studies.
minutes.
Yeah, I would like to review the peer-reviewed studies.
That is the limit in Robert's rules.
Board Member Bogus, I'd be happy to send them to you. There's been over 10 with 10,000 of responses. But I can send you a whole list of all their evidence-based reviews.
I would like to look at that. I will probably either vote no or abstain, but I would like to look at that. I feel like due diligence is something that's super important, even for something that is opt-in. I think when the state board puts a stamp of approval on something, we're saying, we have fully vetted this, and I can't say that I've fully vetted this. I'm wondering, what are the metrics, the percentage of students who engage in this screener that are determined to have, I think the words you used were, quote, some form of anxiety? And they were trying to differentiate. What's the percentage of kids who take this and are determined to have some form of anxiety?
Board Member Bogus, I'd be happy to find out and send that to you as well.
Board Member Bogus, I just have to make my own point of order. We didn't actually bring a motion to the body. Did we have the underlying motion, though?
The original motion was never made.
Then I would make a motion.
Well, I've,
fix mine.
You're what? You're,
I was going to call the question, but I was first in line.
okay.
can fix my call to question with the motion that the board approves the new screening tool. That the board
That's fine.
approves the new screening tool
Oh,
titled
that works.
Screen for Child Anxiety Related Emotional Disorders. And I can speak on that.
Do we need a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Okay, go ahead.
I think that that Box Elder is following what they're required to, which is to get a tool. I am certain and I trust them that they're choosing the right tool for their schools. I'm sure there's a reason that they chose this, and I believe that I think that they know best what tool, based on who they have in Box Elder, to use this tool. And so I want to trust them, and they're just doing their due diligence, which they are required to by code. So I hope that we can pass this motion.
Okay, we have Member Hymus and then, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Earl was up first. No?
I'm good, I'm ready to vote.
Member Hymus, and I'll come back to you, Member Bogus. I cut you off, but Member Hymus?
I just want to briefly ask, this is, not only it's opt-in, this is, like the LEA gets to choose this, right? We're not telling LEAs they have to use it. This is one of many tools that they can choose. So with that, I'm going to speak for the motion, that LEAs know what they're doing. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If parents don't like it, they don't like it, right? Nobody's saying that you have to do it. Let's just put it out there. We have lots of tools, many tools in my garage I don't use, but I'm glad I have it. So anyway, I'll speak for the motion.
All right, Member Booth.
I would like to just say that local control is a really good thing. And though they need to seek approval, and they're doing that, I believe that a school psychologist that's making this kind of request, knowing that it's an opt-in, and having already been reviewed by our agency and very well-qualified staff members who are in our agency with another agency in the state of Utah, and they're making a recommendation that it's approved and that we should go ahead and say, okay, great, you've done what you needed to do. We ought to honor that and allow them to have local control. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Booth. Member Bogus, and then Member, were you in line again? Yeah. No. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot I had a question. Member Bogus, then Member Earl, Member Green. So we're coming back because I cut you off, because I realized there was no motion pending.
So I've retained my
You
8.5
got,
minutes.
you got your one, sorry. I cut your one in half because I realized we had no motion pending. Back to you.
Okay, so, I guess my other questions were that is, as I'm reviewing this, the little, very little information I have, it appears as if this were not just to evaluate anxiety, but it was used as a tool in some cases to evaluate, early warnings for bipolar disorder. And that just comes as, from links off the document itself. I'm just wondering if you could speak to that.
Chair Moss? Me?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, please.
Thank you, Board Member Bogus. That does not fall under the conditions that we would administer them for, so this would only be covered for anxiety. We would not, the LEAs are not even allowed to do that under
yes,
this,
thank you.
under R277625.
Okay, so I appreciate that, but that wasn't my question. My question was, has it ever been used for that purpose as the website indicates it has?
Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
As,
Yeah.
I should say, as the website indicates, it may have been. I'm just, like I said, I haven't done my due diligence, I haven't read through all this stuff, I'm just
Yeah.
trying.
To clarify your question, to make sure I'm answering it, are you asking if this screener has also been used to screen for bipolar disorder?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not an expert in this tool, and so we could not answer this question at this time, but the question that is being answered is how the school would use it, and the school would use it for only anxiety screening.
Okay, I reserve my time. Thank you, sir.
You may or may not have time left, I don't know. We'll have to ask the crystal ball. No, all right, we're moving. Member Green, Member Reel, Member Hart.
And Earl.
Oh, sorry. No, you're first. I'm sorry, I thought you took it off.
No, so mine goes back to the question I asked before. The clinicians are counselors or are they social workers? Who would be the clinicians, do you know?
Vice Chair Earl, yes, that would be school social workers.
The
Who would be
school
the
social workers.
clinicians, yes.
Once a child is determined by the school social worker to need certain services, then the parent's contacted and the school gives the services or an outside entity? Do you know?
So after the screener is used and they need an assessment done further,
Yeah,
so I believe that goes through the school clinicians or a community partner if they have a local mental health authority they're contracted with.
okay, thank you.
All right, Member Green.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out on our R277625, number 7, it just states that if the application is approved, the superintendent shall submit the approved application, which is what we're seeing now, to the board for final approval. And so I think what we're just saying is we just wanted to maybe see more of that application, you know, part of being able to make a fully informed decision on all the details. So the questions are good. They're being answered well. I just think for future reference, especially around items like this. Thank you.
Okay, Member Reel.
I'd like to call the question.
Is there a second? It's been seconded, okay. Question is whether to proceed directly to a vote on what is now pending to approve the screening tool. So, Member Wood,
Yes.
moving to call the question, takes a
Yes.
2/3 vote. Member Straight,
Oh, yeah.
is he not rejoining us? Okay, I keep thinking he'll come back in, but, oh, is he out for the night? Okay, sorry, I thought we were still waiting for him to come back. Thank you, Member Davis, that works. All in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. 12, that passes, so we proceed directly to a vote on the underlying motion that the board approves the new screening tool titled Screen for Child Anxiety-Related Emotional Disorders. And we can do show of hands again. All in favor, please raise your hand. That passes 10-4 with one absent, I believe.